welcome back to Geometry, Lesson 4.1, which is all about congruency. By the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to use a composition of rigid motions to show that two objects are congruent. So I'm going to start out with some Gauss purple, and I'm going to start out by writing that I can statement to make sure that we all know what this video is about. So just like I said, in this video, by the end of it, you should be able to say, I can use a composition of rigid, would you look at that? I made a mistake. Wait, no I didn't. There are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. So I'm gonna use some Archimedes white here to fix that. Look at it, it's all gone. All right, I'm gonna get that Gauss purple again. So I can use a composition of rigid motions to show that two objects are congruent. Remember, friends, all year we've talked about how congruent, the word congruent talks about an image or a figure, and equals talks about a number. So we're really going to focus in on that congruency today. So this is our I can statement. Now I think I'm going to switch it up. I think I'm going to use some Fibonacci orange next. And now that I have that Fibonacci orange, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define what congruent means, just like the book. Okay, so congruent, you are going to want to write this down because your assignment is going to use this definition a lot. Okay, so congruent. In order to be congruent, that means that there is a rigid motion. So we talked about rigid motions. We talked about rigid motions back in chapter 3. So if you don't remember what a rigid motion is, that's going to be our translations, our glide reflections, our reflections, our rotations. And so in order to be congruent, there is a rigid motion that maps one figure onto the other. Okay, so those are the two main things that you need to take away from this lesson. That you can use a composition of rigid motions to show that two objects are congruent. That congruent means that there is a rigid motion that maps one figure onto the other. That means they keep the same exact shape, just like I've been telling you all year. Okay? Now, let's look at what that might look like. So, I'm just going to move over onto another piece of my canvas, and I'm going to beat out that brush. I just really like to beat it out, get all that paint out of that brush, okay? Now, let's take a minute and let's look around. Look at what we have. There's beauty everywhere. You only have to look to see it. So, you know, one thing that I think is just really beautiful are those happy little trees. I just want to, it's important. Just go out and talk to a tree. Make friends with it. There's nothing wrong with having a tree as a friend, you guys. So why don't we start by drawing some happy little trees. So I'm going to use some Quartzimi brown, and I'm going to draw two congruent trees. Because remember, images and figures can be congruent. So let's start with that tree trunk. All right, I'm going to call that a tree trunk. We all know that I'm not the best artist, but that's okay. We're doing the joy of mathematics here. there are no mistakes, so therefore I'm a great artist. So there's my tree trunks. And you know, those trees look lonely. They need some happy little leaves. So let's put some leaves on there. Those are my branches in case you can't tell. All right, so what color should we use for our leaves? Let's go with some Play-Doh green. Oh, I forgot to beat out my brush though first. Let's beat out the brush first. Yep. Now let's get that Play-Doh green. I'm just gonna draw in some happy little leaves there. And if I want this tree to be congruent, it also needs happy little leaves. And look, even if you won't be friends with the tree, at least they have each other to be friends. So we can look at these two trees, and you're looking at these two trees, and I bet you're saying, those trees aren't congruent. But if you take a closer look, you'll see that these two trees are congruent. In all seriousness though, today all you need to know that if an object's congruent, it's the same exact picture. It has the same measurements. If you know that, you're going to be able to do the homework. So I thought today would be a good lesson to be a little goofy and have some Bob Ross quotes and fun. Have a fantastic day.